I don't think I've ever heard someone sound so honest and so afraid as Samantha did when she told me this story. It started, fittingly, with a storm. Samantha was standing at the kitchen sink of her modest apartment, watching the downpour outside when the call came. Her 6-year-old son, Caleb, was supposed to be spending a quiet weekend at her sister Vanessa's house, a strained attempt at family bonding, a subtle olive branch. Samantha should have listened to the tight plastic smile Vanessa had given her at the handoff, the smile she reserved for playing nice when forced. Samantha's mother had assured her, "She'll warm up eventually, honey. She's just stressed about the wedding." Vanessa, the golden child. Perfect hair, perfect grades, a family-funded life, and an upcoming wedding that was treated like a royal event. Samantha was the opposite, the single mom who worked 2 jobs, the black sheep, the one who didn't rely on handouts. She'd nodded and driven away, not wanting to stir up any more tension. The call, however, shattered the peace. It was Caleb's tiny, trembling voice. "Mommy, can you come get me? Auntie Nessa said I'm too loud and she told me to go outside." Samantha froze. "Outside? What do you mean outside, baby? It's raining." "I'm outside. It's cold." His sniffle, small and weak, broke something primal inside her. She dropped the phone and ran. She didn't grab a coat or keys. She barely remembered to lock the door. Her heart pounded a frantic rhythm that drowned out the storm as she drove, windshield wipers screaming against the downpour. When she pulled up to Vanessa's pristine suburban house, she saw him. Caleb, curled up on the porch, soaked to the bone. His little backpack was open beside him, books and socks spilling out, drenched. His lips were blue. His eyes were red. He didn't even cry when she lifted him into her arms. He just leaned into her like a small ghost and whispered, "She hit me with the shoe, Mama. I was just singing. I wasn't yelling." Samantha's fingers tightened around his back. She carried him to the car, not even bothering to knock on the door, but Vanessa emerged anyway. She was casual, holding a mimosa, her makeup untouched by the weather, like nothing had happened. "Oh, come on. It wasn't that serious," Vanessa drawled. "He was being obnoxious, screaming like a banshee while I was on a Zoom call. I needed peace." Samantha turned slowly, the adrenaline turning to cold, pure rage. "You hit him." "Don't be dramatic," Vanessa laughed, actually laughed. "It was a slipper. Kids need discipline. You threw my son into a thunderstorm." "He's fine," Vanessa said, raising an eyebrow. "Honestly, if you weren't such a coddling single mom, maybe he wouldn't be so." Samantha slammed the car door on the rest of the sentence. The shaking came first. When she got Caleb home, wrapped him in 3 towels, fed him soup, and kissed his forehead 100 times, that's when her body remembered how to cry. But the fury that simmered in the silence was the worst part. It wasn't just Vanessa, it was the aftermath. When Samantha called her parents and told them what happened, there was a long, terrible pause. "You always exaggerate, honey," her mother said. "Vanessa's just stressed with the wedding," her father added. "Don't ruin her moment." Not a single word about Caleb, just excuses, just deflection. That night, Samantha looked at her sleeping son, his face soft and exhausted. They didn't protect him. They didn't protect her. They had laughed. She was done playing nice. They had poked the wrong mother. She wasn't going to beg or scream. She was going to make Vanessa remember the day she made her son cry in the rain. She sat wide awake, one hand resting on Caleb, the other clenched around her phone, reading the same text from her mother over and over. "Don't make this into drama. Your sister's wedding is next week. Don't ruin it like you ruin everything. The truth, laid bare." She was the inconvenience, the embarrassment, the storm. But that night, everything changed. Samantha realized she was done trying to prove she was worthy of their love. She wasn't the poor one anymore. They hadn't bothered to see who she'd become. She made a plan. The next morning, while Caleb played beside her, Samantha opened her laptop. She had the savings, the connections, and the silent investors from a tech project Vanessa had mocked as a little side hustle. She called a lawyer, then another. Then she called the country club where Vanessa was planning her wedding. It took one conversation and 2 wire transfers to the right people. The venue was hers now. The reservation was canceled. But she wanted it to sting, so she kept the news quiet. In the days leading up to the wedding, her parents barely acknowledged her. No check-in on Caleb. Just endless posts about family unity. Then, the email arrived at Vanessa's. The venue was under new ownership and unavailable. Vanessa panicked. "Did you do something?" she hissed on the phone that evening. "Don't play dumb. You always wanted to ruin my life." "I didn't say anything," Samantha replied calmly. "But it's funny you think I could. You're such a bitter." Samantha hung up. Instead, she focused on her own plan. She created a private event at the newly acquired venue. Not a wedding, just a gathering. She invited people who had always seen her as invisible. She booked a caterer and a string quartet. She had photos of Caleb and her framed throughout the hall, years of hard work, promotions, milestones. She wanted the world to see what they had chosen to overlook. 2 days later, Vanessa called again, panicked that the band and decorator had canceled. "What's going on?" Samantha let the silence linger. "Maybe you should ask Mom and Dad. They seem to think you deserve everything. Maybe they'll manifest it for you. You selfish, like you were when you beat a child with a slipper and threw him into the rain." Dead silence. Then, softly, "He was being loud. And you'll remember that every time you hear thunder." She hung up. The day of what should have been the wedding, guests showed up to the country club to find a sign. "Private celebration of strength and survival, by invitation only." Inside, Samantha stood at the center, Caleb in a tiny suit beside her. She watched as old family friends and even some of Vanessa's bridesmaids looked at the photo wall and whispered about the betrayal, the success, the story of a woman they didn't bother to know. When Vanessa finally stormed through the doors, dressed in her full bridal gown, tears streaking her mascara, demanding to know why, Samantha looked her in the eyes and smiled. "You hit my son," she said clearly. "You mocked me. You erased us. This is what forgotten looks like." Vanessa turned to her parents, expecting support, but even they stood frozen. Someone had leaked the security footage from Vanessa's porch that night. The internet had seen it. The news had picked it up. Sponsors had backed out. Her fiancé had quietly flown back home. Vanessa stood in a designer dress, alone, humiliated, and begging. She collapsed into an empty chair, whispering, "This wasn't supposed to happen. This was my day." And for once in her life, no one cared. Caleb looked up at his mother. "Mommy, why is Auntie crying?" Samantha bent down and kissed his forehead. "Because she finally saw the storm she caused." Her parents approached timidly. "You didn't have to destroy her life like this," her mother murmured. "Did you say that when she raised her hand to a child?" Samantha snapped. "She was under stress," her mom replied. "She beat my son, and you laughed." Samantha's voice was sharp. "You watched a shivering, sobbing child and said he should be quieter. You don't get to moralize now." Her father added that airing it out online was cruel. "She hit a child, and then you posted cake photos like nothing happened," Samantha told them, looking them dead in the eye. "You taught her that cruelty has no consequences." "I just corrected the equation." They had no words. A week later, Samantha received a quiet message from Vanessa's former fiancé. "Thank you. I didn't see it before, but I do now. I hope you and your son are safe and healing." A month after that, her mother called. "We need help. The community won't speak to us. Everyone thinks we condone abuse." "Don't you?" Samantha asked. "I guess it's just hard," she mumbled. "Having your own daughter turn against you." "I didn't turn against you," Samantha exhaled slowly. "You were never standing beside me to begin with." That was the last time she spoke to her mother until 6 months later. Samantha was opening her second office. Caleb was thriving in school. There was a knock at the door. It was Vanessa. She looked hollow, no makeup, just a plain hoodie and dark circles. She held a trembling folder. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I lost everything. I thought I was strong, but I was just loud. You were the strong one." The folder contained therapy documents, legal apologies, a letter addressed to Caleb. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know that I'm trying." Samantha took the folder, not for Vanessa, but for Caleb, because he deserved to see that truth always finds the light, and that even if the world turned against you, a mother would be the storm that protected you.